I'm Vinny Politan, the subject of my investigation, the doomsday cult killer, Lori Daybell. She's a child killer, the worst of the worst. But she was able to escape the death penalty because of prosecutorial mistakes in Idaho. And now she's putting on a show in another murder trial in Arizona. Here's the story. Lori Daybell already serving life sentences in Idaho for the murders of her two youngest children and conspiring in the death of her fifth husband's first wife, now facing additional charges in Arizona in Maricopa County. She stands trial accused of conspiring with her brother Alex Cox to murder her fourth husband, Charles Vallow, in 2019. Prosecutors allege the motive was to collect $1 million in life insurance and to facilitate her marriage to Chad Daybell, an author of apocalyptic fiction. Cox, who fatally shot Charles, claimed self-defense and died later that year while on the toilet. Lori Daybell has chosen to represent herself and during the course of the trial has been cross-examining witnesses, including her own brother, Adam Cox. If convicted, Lori faces life imprisonment in Arizona, but this won't be her last trial, as she also awaits trial for allegedly conspiring to murder her niece's ex-husband, Brandon Boudreaux. What a story. What an incredible tragedy. All the carnage, all the bodies, all the dead people because of Lori Daybell and Chad Daybell. So Lori representing herself in this case, you know, what does she have to lose? She's representing herself. She gave an opening statement, and I want to go back to that opening statement because during the opening statement, she tells her story about what happened that day, because don't forget, there were 5 people there that day. 4 of them are dead. She's the only one left. Take a listen.
The evidence will show that Charles began to scream at me when I refused to hand him his phone. And Charles lifted up the bat to hit Tylee with the bat. The evidence will show that Alex then intervened to protect Tylee from being hit with the bat. He did not have a gun. He was not wearing a shirt. He was pulling up his jeans because he just woke up and came into the room where he heard the screaming. The evidence will show that Alex and Charles got into a physical struggle for the bat and fell onto the ground. The evidence will show that after this struggle on the ground between Charles and Alex, that Charles prevailed with the bat and began to come towards me with the bat as I ran away from him into the kitchen. The evidence will show that at some point while I was running away from Charles, who was chasing me with the bat, that Alex apparently retrieved his gun. The evidence will show that I ran outside to the children and that Alex shot Charles in self-defense. As the state has mentioned, they are alleging that insurance money was my motive. Social Security was my motive. Spouses having insurance policies is not a crime. Collecting Social Security is not a crime. Self-defense is not a crime.
She has a story to tell. She's doing life in prison already. She's not getting out. She knows she's not getting out. I don't think she's delusional about that, although maybe she is. But because of that, where you're talking about a trial, a murder trial, where you're seemingly playing with house money, like whether you're going to do life in prison or life in prison followed by life in prison, right? So that brings me to the first question in my investigation. And it's about Lori and her defense. Why wouldn't Lori testify? She told her story in the open. She's got seemingly nothing to lose here at trial. So why wouldn't Lori testify? Tell her story to the jury. Here with us, she's outside the courthouse in Phoenix. She's been inside the courtroom for the entire trial. Court TV legal correspondent Kelly Craft and psychotherapist, CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, Dr. Janie Lacy, also with us. All right, Kelly, I'll begin with you out in Phoenix, working late. We appreciate it so much. Why wouldn't she testify? Is there a reason why she wouldn't testify?
Well, one thing, Vinny, she still could, because she has not officially rested her case. So she is expected to do that in front of the jury next week. But what she has told the judge is that as of right now, she is not planning to testify. She is not planning to put on a case. Now, there was a pretrial motion that took place before this trial began, in which one of the items that was discussed was, will the information about Lori killing her children come into play if she takes the stand? And the state mentioned during that pretrial hearing that it wanted to bring forth that evidence to impeach her if she took the stand. Now, the judge did tell Lori during that hearing that she could put forth a motion, that they still would hear that she was convicted of some serious crimes, but maybe would not hear exactly what they were. So he discussed this with Lori at length. What she ended up doing there is still to be determined, because we didn't hear that she put forth any sort of motion, but it appears that she is making a decision not to testify because she does not want that kind of information brought forth to the jury.
Okay, Dr. Janie Lacy, what Kelly just described is like a very logical, defensive reason, right? Okay, if I do this, then the jury might hear that. Let's talk about Lori Daybell, the person, though. She's in prison for the rest of her life. She knows she's in prison for the rest of her life. She told her story in her opening statement. Why do you think there's more to it? Do you think she's focused in on the legal strategy of trying to win this case versus having her opportunity once again to say whatever she wants to say?
Well, Vinny, what I would share is that when I think about it from a psychological perspective, right? So her not testifying, this can help her maintain like this mystique, and it can avoid her allowing the jurors to not directly assess her credibility because of the position that she's taking and representing herself. So I would probably suggest that her decision is really a careful calculation about jury perception and her narrative control, despite, this unusual choice of hers. But I would lean on the perspective that it's her need to maintain control, because she can control the narrative, and it also evades almost this direct cross-examination of her credibility by the jurors witnessing her. So she can maintain control, she can control the narrative, and it also creates this level of mystique around her. So I would probably suggest it's very intentional on her part where she sits.
Let's take a listen to some of her cross-examination. This was an interesting moment with Kay Woodcock, who's her sister-in-law, her former sister-in-law, the one who got the $1 million from her brother, Charles, life insurance instead of Lori getting it. Lori had an opportunity to cross-examine her. Take a look at how it went.
Ms. Woodcock, did you see or hear or personally witness me conspire with Alex Cox to kill my husband, Charles Vallow?
No, but I saw a ton of evidence that did.
That's a fascinating moment, I think, because Kay was ready and she was not ready. But what I'm getting from you, Kelly, and there's a theme where she uses that line a lot. Do you think that part of what's going on is she believes she can win and she wants to prove that she's better than her lawyers?
I believe she feels she can win, Vinny. That was her go-to line. She asked Kay Woodcock that. She asked her brother, Adam Cox, that on the stand as well. That was the first time that we heard that. So he went first, Adam Cox, then Kay Woodcock, and she asked him, did you see or hear anything that would indicate that I conspired with my brother to kill Charles Vallow? And both of those witnesses said no. I believe she really feels that she had some strong questions on cross-examination, and that was one of them.
Let's take a look at another moment of cross-examination here on one of the detectives.
Did you interview our mother, Janice Cox?
I did not.
Did you read or watch her interview?
I have not.
Did you interview our sister, Summer Shiflett?
I did not.
Did you read or watch her interview?
No.
Did you interview our father, Barry Cox?
No.
Did you read or watch his interview?
No.
Like, did you ask my mother what she meant in that text message when she wrote it?
No.
Did you ask my sister what she meant in those text messages?
No.
Did you ask Melanie, my niece, what she meant in those text messages?
No.
Did you ask me what I meant in those text messages?
I couldn't.
She's almost on a roll like a criminal defense attorney doing cross-examination there. So Dr. Janie Lacy, if she thinks she can win, and let's say she won, right? And the jury finds her not guilty. What does that mean, do you think, to her? A woman who's been convicted of murdering her own children, who will serve the rest of her life in prison.
Well, what that would suggest to me is that what we're already reviewing is that she potentially has these narcissistic traits and tendencies. So that would further inflate what she probably believes to be true about herself. And that is that she is in control and that she is capable and that she's taking on this role, that she's probably compartmentalizing the things that she does not necessarily want to be seen. So this would further inflate her sense of self and her grandiose thoughts about who she is and her power that she is feeling like she's displaying by taking on this role, and feeling probably like she's doing a good job in her confidence, that's appearing very confident as she's cross-examining and able to separate her past relationship with the people that she's cross-examining.
Kelly, what are you seeing from her inside the courtroom? Does she have an air of confidence at all?
She absolutely does. She walks in, Vinny, and she smiles at the prosecution table, at their counsel tables, and the prosecutor. So there's a paralegal at the prosecutor's table, and then the prosecutor, and then they have an investigator sitting in the middle. Neither of them are looking at her when she makes her way into the courtroom. But then when she smiles at them, she also looks back at the people in the gallery and smiles at them, at several of the people in the gallery. She walks in very confidently. When she goes up and begins her cross-examination of the witnesses, she does so confidently, especially at the end, Vinny, which may be coming a little bit too late for her, but she really did seem like she got on a roll with Detective Duncan in regard to the way she was asking questions, her form of the way that she was asking the questions, and she could understand the objections being made, and when the judge would tell her to rephrase the questions, she was able to do so in the proper form.
And you know what's interesting? She'll have another trial for the attempted murder of Brandon Boudreaux, so she'll have another shot at all this. You know, this is unreal. Okay, guests are staying with us, confronting the woman who dated Charles and went on a date with him the night before Alex, her brother, shot and killed him. And there she is, right, going at it. Not the only moment during this trial where she has sort of gotten into that role of real cross-examination. Take a look here as she crosses Detective Duncan.
So you're the case agent.
Yeah, I'd have to look and see if that was the case.
So you're the case agent, and you don't know if the person who shot my husband's phone was ever...
Yeah. At this moment, I don't recall.
I'm asking you to speak as the case agent now if you know if it was done or not. Do you think that would be important to your investigation?
Absolutely, knowing what we know now, yes.
Okay, you're a detective, right?
Correct.
You have to look at all the angles, right?
Correct.
You don't know what happened, right? You just stated that you weren't there, right?
Correct.
So wouldn't that be crucial information that the police department didn't bother to take?
Once again, I don't know what the conversation with Detective Moffat and Alex was and what his reasoning for not. Would I have taken it? Yes.
Interesting moments there. And think about what the rest of her life is like right now. It's 3 hots and a cot, right? She's been locked up for a long, long time. Now she's out. She's in the courtroom. She's able to control the people who investigated her, members of her family, and ask them questions, and they have to answer what she's saying. Then she gets to speak directly to the jury. Brings us to the next question in our investigation. It's about Lori. Is Lori enjoying this trial? I understand it's a murder trial, but it's not like if she wins, she's going home. So I don't think you're as concerned about the outcome, although she might be, but is she enjoying the process? Is she enjoying the journey? With us, psychotherapist, CEO of Life Counseling Solutions, Dr. Janie Lacy, and I spoke too soon, still with us, Mike King. Okay. Dr. Janie Lacy, are you seeing someone here that might be enjoying these moments, this trial, even though it is her own murder trial?
Well, Vinny, what I am seeing is definitely appears that she is performing this very specific role before the jury, right? She's smiling at times. She's showing strategic emotion. So using this courtroom as her playground. But yet we don't see any emotion when it came to, or minimum emotion, I should say, when it came to her husband. But we saw her smiling at her son. And, we see her taking this intense role, being able to cross-examine him, examine those who at one point had power over her. So now her being in this perceived power position, and then also at times having this composed demeanor, it can suggest a lot of things about what's happening inside of her. So I would say that she looks and appears to be enjoying this time as her playground and being able to have control and be able to show up in a certain narrative. And
Mike, when we talk about her history, she's been in the spotlight before. She was Miss or Mrs. I think was it Clayton County, Texas? One of the counties in Texas, and then was in the Mrs. Texas competition. I think that was 2004. That same year, she was on, I believe, was it Wheel of Fortune? I think it was Wheel of Fortune. And one other game show as well. So this is someone who's been in the spotlight before, the performing part of it. Do you think that's part of what's going on here?
Well, I hate to take advantage of a religious cult to say this, but amen to Dr. Lacy. And yes, I absolutely think this is her theater, and this courtroom has become her stage, and she is acting out and enjoying this thing very much. Now, I think that she's starting to wane in that excitement and in that enjoyable experience. And it will be great to have Kelly reporting back about what she's doing on Monday, because she seemed pretty deflated by the end of the day on day 7. And to me, that either means she's throwing in the towel or she's preparing for this opportunity where she leaves us all hanging, that she's going to decide whether or not she's coming back for an encore.
Yeah, she has the opportunity. She can call witnesses. She can testify herself, although she's initially said she wasn't doing that. I want you to take a listen to Megan Connor, Lori's cousin, who was on the show on April 2nd, talking about this issue.
I do think she's enjoying it. I do think that she is using this as an opportunity to to be in the spotlight for the last time. She's got one more trial after this one, but I think she does know that her time in the spotlight is limited. And I think she does know that after this, that she's going back to prison in Idaho, and that she's going to fade from view. And I think that probably bothers her. I think she does enjoy the attention. I think that's part of the reason she decided to represent herself.
That's the reality, Dr. Janie Lacy, that sometimes criminal defendants who are a little bit off, between the ears, don't realize they have these moments of the attention that you get for being on trial, even more attention for representing yourself, and then knowing, or maybe not realizing, that once that moment is over, it's over forever, like forever. Do you think she has an understanding of that makes this more important for her? Or do you think she might be somewhat oblivious to that moment fleeting?
I would suggest, Vinny, that she has an understanding that she's getting what we would call a certain level of supply, right? Especially when we look at narcissism, is that there's a supply that you get from the attention. There's supply that you get from everyone looking at you. So in her, what we're looking at is this controlled presentation. So it's reflecting that she's used to having a specific public image, as you mentioned, her not being new to being on certain types of platforms. But there's definitely this as you're saying, between her ears, we'll look at probably some levels of mental illness here, that there's this disconnect between her behavior and the severity of the situation, which can indicate to me that she's used to compartmentalizing. And as she's used to compartmentalizing, then she's able to have different parts of her that she can bring forward. And when she's in that certain parts of her, she's truly immersed in that part. And right now, the courtroom is we're watching all of that parts being played for her. But that would indicate to me in the past that she's used to compartmentalizing and putting things in little folders so that she can be what she needs to be in the moment.
Mike, we only have about 10 seconds here. Do you think her big finish will be taking the stand or an over-the-top closing argument?
I kind of feel like she's got to do an over-the-top closing argument, Vinny, and she's got to call the rest of us to repentance in whatever way it is that she's going to do that she gets across the point that she was doing the right thing and everyone else sinned.
Mike King and Dr. Janie Lacy, thank you both so much. We appreciate your time and insight. Okay, trying to understand Lori Daybell is not possible, but what I do understand is her motivation for murder. She fell in love with a loser who had no money. So she wanted life insurance and Social Security benefits without any of the costs that come along with taking care of children. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the definition of evil. Killing children for money. But I still don't know why she would do that to be with a loser like Chad Daybell. I'm Vinny Politan. We'll keep digging for answers as the investigation continues.